I'm going to start off and ask you, 2015, what's big for you?
I think what's big is independence. I think what's big is understanding or having the market better understand we're a marathon company and not a sprinter. And I think to the last points around the table is understanding what we're doing from media management for our clients in a way that's been different from just managing private marketplaces, which is what we've been doing the last 3-4 years. Now it's evolving to something greater.
So the private marketplace has been around for 3 years?
We've been managing them in our platform for multiple years, yes. And it's been, clearly one of the pieces of, our value proposition to our clients and our customers is how do we give them tools and resources to manage their business the way that they need to. They need to maintain trades, they need to maintain relationships between buyers and sellers, and they need tools to help automate that and put it together in a way that makes sense, right?
So we just went and we had this whole conversation about the publisher side of the business. If you've been doing this for 3 years, what has changed in terms of the way the publishers are structuring their business deals now?
I think, we supported multiple pricing models out of the gate, which were fixed price, fixed volume, fixed price, variable volume, and then private bidded marketplaces, typically with floors, because the premium guys don't want to take 3 cents, right? So I think one, we've been an enabler in helping the rest of the market get there, because we've been able to show them that it's not always a bad thing to work with someone in this capacity. It's not always a bad thing to get 100% yield on your price volume commitments versus doing a deal and taking 40% of it because I don't do some things on measurement really well, right?
What is in terms of what does it look like? So there's a sales guy that goes out and does a deal with somebody, right? And then there's somebody who's sitting in interface. Are they going in together? Does the sales guys going out and making the deal understand programmatic enough at that point?
I think that the people that are utilizing our technology, we're not in the middle of that, right? So we've created a self-service platform that enables our clients to go take those actions themselves. I think it's really important that we don't get in between a relationship between a buyer in the agency and a seller at a broadcaster. That is not our business. That's not our core competency. So it looks different for each one of our clients, I think.
So we talked a lot about in some of the prior sessions about what you're doing with Mediaocean, some of the things that are going on with MVPDs. It seems like you are a company. It seems like it's still been pretty feet first into the TV world.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about what you're doing from those perspectives?
Well, I think one is we came at the market from a television perspective and didn't come at it from a display digital perspective. So fundamentally, our core has always been somewhat different and somewhat hard to understand, I think, for the market that deals, for a big piece of the program market that's always dealt in the sprint. Like it's the last mile or it's the last quarter mile. And I want to take a step back and just make sure that, people get us, because people really don't always get us. And we think of the world in a time, in a place and time. And so if you look across an 18-month spectrum, we have people utilizing our tools that are taking steps along the way in that process. So as far out as 18 months, it's researchers and planners using our technology with the use of your data and other folks' data and insights to basically plan the convergence of my linear television and my digital video strategy. And then that is informing another group that's saying, here's the output of what you should go buy. And what does that mean from an audience perspective, from a contextual perspective, all of those things. And then you have really the core of what anybody has to have to operate a business, which is campaign management tools, and a lot of people call that a DSP. But it's really, if you're utilizing data and you can't put it in a system to apply it and activate it, then there's no need to do the other 2 steps. And then finally, it's about measurement. So it's once that's done, how is that measurement and attribution playing back into the core strategy? And the second spectrum across that is, we're managing, on average, I think today 70% of the deals that are managed in our platform are upfront, about 20% are scatter, and then 10% are utilizing RTB and other mechanisms to kind of fill in the sand between the stones, if you will.
And these, when you say they're upfront, these are not to be confused with the TV upfronts. These are upfront deals.
These are upfront traded deals that were done
Right.
in the upfronts. Yeah, but they're just digital parts of it. So as part of that research and planning that they've looked in the tool for guidance for, what does my share shift percentage need to be, and how much do I need to shift it, and to where?
If you say 70%, do you think that's indicative of the industry, or is that just for Videology?
I think it's indicative of us. Yes,
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think most of the market is playing in scatter and real time. I think that pendulum of time that we manage against has allowed us to be successful in executing that, and executing it across a portfolio, which is really, really different, because we're not a media company. It's not just about us, or it's not just about where we can go buy. It's about, again, agencies have portfolios and brands have portfolios. They don't just buy from one media company. They buy across networks and television and cable nets and digital publishers. And if they can't see that through a single lens, and how to drive KPIs and ROI for their business, it's very blurry. And I think, and that's why I said this year is big for us as far as being open and independent, because I think, hiding behind these walled gardens is something that is becoming a big challenge for our clients. At least that's what they're telling us.
So the reason I think you could plan 18 months in advance is because there's predictability when you're looking at things like TV. Programmatic and, frankly, digital in general changes so quickly. Is there really that, even if you wanted to, could you plan that far in advance?
Yes, we do. And I think, it's what's different about us. It's what's different about the math problem that we solve, and how we approach it and how we go about it. I mean, an example of how strongly we feel about how good we are at doing that is actually an application on the supply side with one of our large international partners, that in the market in which they exist, if they sell an ad campaign that is not delivered in full, they owe the advertiser 3 times the amount of that campaign. So if it was a $100,000 campaign, they owe them $300,000 for under delivery. They use our technology to manage the intersection of their first-party audience data and premium content and deliver guaranteed outcomes without those paybacks. And that's a pretty powerful thing that we have that has enabled us, I think, to play well in that 70%, because the predictability in the upfront portion of what you're doing, especially when you're bringing in audience data, has got to be right. And if it's not, you're going to be in this whole make-good situation that the industry's been in for the last 50 years that I think brands don't want anymore.
So let me ask one last one to wrap up here. So, when I look at it, everyone else has been on this panel. Everyone else has some kind of ownership by a pretty big entity right now, right? You're the only one that doesn't. Is that problematic, or is that a benefit over?
I think it's a benefit, because we have great partnerships with everybody around this table, and I think what is great about it is that we don't need to get in the way of Dan's relationship with you. We don't need to get in the way of Dan's relationship with Xaxis. If someone is utilizing our technology, they have the control to maintain that, and we feel like that's an important part of making this ecosystem transparent and great, because if someone wants more transparency from their supply source and they're willing to pay more money, I'm not the guy that should say that, right? That should happen between our clients and our customers.